This month's theme is POCUS confidence. We're going to move from I dabble to I depend on it. The goal is simple: help you build reliable, everyday ultrasound skills through small, practical habits that fit your real clinical life. In last week's issue, we looked at why confidence gaps are so common, even among highly skilled and trained clinicians. In my experience, these factors are high enthusiasm, low structured practice, and inconsistent exposure. The takeaway was that most clinicians are not struggling because they lack ability. They're struggling because the system they're operating in doesn't support steady skill growth. So this week, we turn to the next piece: the real barriers that interfere with learning and exactly how to beat them. These barriers show up for almost everyone: limited time, uneven training, minimal feedback, and irregular practice. The encouraging part: every one of them is fixable with small, consistent steps. Most clinicians who want to use POCUS more confidently run into these same sets of barriers. Keep reminding yourself, none of them are personal shortcomings. They're predictable, operational obstacles. Read on to discover how you can focus on turning those barriers into small, repeatable steps you can actually succeed with immediately. There are 5 real barriers, and we'll go over them. First is time. Most people wait for those big, uninterrupted blocks of time to really sit down and work on POCUS. See this over and over. People go through the didactics, then there's long gaps before they put their hands on the probe, and it becomes a vicious cycle. Now they need to go back and watch the didactics again. So it's important that you plan for this. We put it on the calendar in our programs like the productivity gurus tell us, and then clinical life happens. Someone needs something. The shifts run long, or the day simply gets away from you. The results: your good intentions get swallowed whole. The antidote, though, is surprisingly simple: short, frequent bursts of practice. You don't need an hour. You barely need 15 minutes. And everyone can find one small window in a day, especially when the payoff is better clinical confidence and faster, clearer decisions at the bedside. Once you stop chasing the perfect hour and start using the imperfect 10 minutes, everything changes. Next, we look at training gaps. Most clinicians learn POCUS the same way we learned how to swim as kids. Someone threw us in the pool and yelled instructions from the side. A workshop here, a lecture there, and suddenly you're trained. But sporadic exposure doesn't build dependable skill. It just gives you a patchwork foundation that feels shaky the moment you try it in real cases. The fix is a simple, structured path. One view at a time, one small goal at a time. When the training sequence is predictable, your improvement becomes predictable too. You don't need a fellowship to get better. You need a clear lane to swim in. What about limited exposure? Every learner often assumes they need someone at the bedside to coach every hand movement. And in the perfect world, sure. However, in the real world, we're all busy, shifts are full, we're overflowing on our calendars, and your senior partners may not have scanned since residency. But supervision isn't the only way to improve. Clip review habits, even self-review fills most of the gaps. Once you record the clip, you can look at it calmly without patient pressure, noise, or time constraints, and compare it to a known good example. I think it's important as you're training to use patients or standardized patients where you're following the rules of your institution, because obviously as you're training, you're not privileged to do this, so you can't be doing this live on patients making real-time decisions when you're not privileged. However, you can do these if it's permissible at your institution on patients that have had recent known studies. This can be your limited supervision, that you have patients with known studies, known findings that you can work with. Yes, supervision is ideal, but it's not essential. A consistent review loop is what actually moves the needle. What about inconsistent practice? Most people practice POCUS only when they happen to remember. During that training time, if there's an interesting patient that presents, oh yeah, let me get the ultrasound machine. That keeps you forever in this start-stop mode. Muscle memory doesn't build through this sporadic inspiration. It builds through routine. Small, predictable POCUS moments in your clinical day is all you need. You've got that patient that had a recent study, has known pathology. You've got a few minutes. It's in compliance with your institutional protocols. The patient allows you to do this. You obtain one view, 2 sweeps. Save a clip. Not dramatic, not exciting, but completely foundational. When POCUS becomes a quiet daily habit rather than an occasional project or burst, confidence rises automatically. What about a minimal feedback loop? Without feedback, learning stalls, and no feedback is the default for most clinicians. You scan, you save, you move on, but you never get that true confirmation, and that leads to some issues. And that's why, again, scanning on patients with known pathology, that can be extremely helpful. Your brain has to get the yes, that's what it was, or try it again differently. Those are the signals that are required to improve. The fix is a quick 3-question scoring method that you can apply to every clip. You'll acquire it, interpret it, and then think about how that would help answer your clinical question. That's it. No long rubric, no waiting for outside reviews, a simple feedback loop that you can run by yourself that helps to reinforce progress and keep you honest about what still needs work. I think that's just the reality, that most of us are not going to be in that situation where you have a faculty member standing over you, constantly guiding your hand movements and your interpretation. That would be ideal, but that's not the reality, and these other methods work. So what I hear again over and over from clinicians, I want to get better, I just don't have the time. Think about the 10-minute, the short burst. This is a system that's going to help you. It's short, focused, and repeatable. 10 minutes a day for 10 days. No heroics, you just need a rhythm. So during the first 3 days, build the map. During days 4 to 6, capture the reps. 7 to 8, compare and contrast. Day 9 and 10, review what you've made. And think about those 3 key components. Why does 10 days work? 10 days is long enough for your hands and eyes to adjust. You develop that muscle memory, but short enough that you don't lose momentum. It's a sprint, not a marathon, and once you complete one cycle, you can run another with a new view and feel your confidence stack up. Build a one-view routine. Most clinicians are going to try to learn too many views at once. Focus on a few things and go ahead and try to master those. That's going to be the way to success. If there's a single habit, though, that separates I dabble from I depend on it, it's clip review. The bedside scan is where you collect the information, but the learning happens later, when you're calm, unhurried, and able to look at what you recorded. Still, you've obviously made decisions immediately while you were doing it, but going back can help reinforce things. And going back through things at a later time is spaced repetition. All of these things can help. A weekly 15-minute ritual is enough. Again, this doesn't have to be I'm going to need 4 hours to sit down. Think about these in terms of the short burst. So your challenge for the week, Do the 10 minutes for 10 days. That shift from hesitating to acting is the whole point of this series. Stick with it for 10 days and you'll see exactly what I mean. Keep that momentum going. If you're ready to go a little deeper, our membership gives you the kind of reinforcement that makes these 10-day cycles stick. Focused modules, large reference clip libraries, and regular opportunities to practice and check your work. Nothing fancy, just steady, reliable learning that fits around real clinical life. If that sounds useful, check out the website. You'll do me a favor and hit reply. Let me know if this message resonates with you. Read through this newsletter. Lay out your foundation on this. Remember, we want you to succeed at this. So until next week, bye.